At the beginning of the film, we see a woman named Jazz sitting in her car. From the look on her face, it seems like she's running away from someone. Jazz appears desperate. She pulls over at a spot, leaves her car there, and takes off her ring, leaving it behind on the seat. After that, she meets two men, Rory and Anthony. Rory and Anthony are brothers who own a boat, which they operate as part of their business. We learn that Rory already knew Jazz from their days at a school called Mostly Sins. Now he's helping her, but what kind of help is this? Basically, Jazz is running away from her husband. He used to beat her and control every aspect of her life. As viewers, we can clearly see bruises on Jazz's face. She looks terrified. Her plan is to cross Lake Superior on Rory's boat and escape from the US to Canada, where she hopes to start a new life away from her abusive husband. Anthony, however, warns Rory that taking the boat out tonight is a bad idea. There's a storm forecast and the wind is already picking up, but Rory insists he wants to help Jazz at any cost, because deep down, Rory has feelings for her. So Rory takes Jazz onto the boat and they set off into the night. Meanwhile, Jazz's husband, whose name is Colton, starts looking for her. He finds her abandoned car and the ring she left behind. He follows her trail all the way to Rory and Anthony's home, where he begins interrogating Anthony. At first, Anthony refuses to say anything, but Colton flashes his police badge to intimidate him. Yes, Colton is a police officer, though we quickly realize he's currently suspended from duty. Colton starts pressuring Anthony to tell him where Rory took Jazz. When Anthony refuses to give specific information, Colton snaps. He attacks Anthony and ends up killing him. This brutal moment reveals just how possessive and dangerous Colton really is. He's willing to go to any extreme to get Jazz back. Back on the lake, Rory and Jazz are sailing when a fierce storm hits. A massive wave crashes into their boat, capsizing it. In the chaos, we can't tell if either of them survived. The next scene introduces us to a woman named Adeline. She lives alone near a beach and works as the keeper of a lighthouse. Adeline has lived in isolation for years, so long that she started talking to her goldfish for company. The area where Adeline lives is still in the United States, but it's extremely remote. So remote, in fact, that if the town's deputy sheriff, named Fusto, needs to give her an environmental warning, he has to drive out there himself. We also learn that Adeline has a landline at her home, but it's been out of service for the past 2 weeks. The morning after the storm, Adeline goes to the beach to collect driftwood and debris. That's when she finds Jazz, unconscious and washed ashore. Realizing what must have happened, Adeline quickly drags Jazz to her house and begins caring for her. She changes her clothes and tends to her injuries. When Jazz finally regains consciousness, she's startled to find herself in a stranger's home. She introduces herself as Lucy. She soon learns she's still in the US, not yet in Canada, but is comforted when Adeline tells her she lives completely alone, with no one nearby. Because of the broken landline, Adeline can't call for an ambulance or contact the police. Jazz, now going by Lucy, has a serious leg injury and can barely walk. Adeline immediately senses that Jazz is definitely running from someone. She's warm and compassionate, clearly understanding Jazz's situation. She tells Jazz she can stay as long as she needs, at least until she's well enough to move. In the meantime, Adeline says she'll contact a friend who can help Jazz travel north to Canada. Once she recovers, Jazz starts noticing how attached Adeline is to her pet goldfish. She had rescued it and even given it a name. Hector. Slowly, Jazz begins to bond with Adeline. They spend time talking, and Adeline continues to care for her, even giving her a tour of the lighthouse and the rest of the property. Meanwhile, Colton is still searching for Jazz. As he questions people along the way, he eventually arrives at the beach where Adeline lives. There, he finds Rory's cap washed up on shore and realizes that Rory probably didn't survive the storm. But if Jazz made it, she must be somewhere nearby. Colton makes his way to Adeline's house. Adeline instantly realizes who he is, that Colton is somehow connected to Jazz, and likely the person she's running from. Without hesitation, Adeline hides Jazz and tells Colton that no woman has come near her house recently. During their conversation, Adeline learns that Jazz's real name is Jazz, not Lucy as she had claimed earlier. That confirms Adeline's suspicion. and she now knows for sure that Colton is her husband. We also find out there's someone else living in the area. Not too close, but close enough. And it was this person who told Colton that Adeline lives here and maintains the lighthouse. Eventually, Colton leaves, and Jazz is safe for the time being. Still, Jazz is sure that Colton suspects something and will come back. After all, he's a cop, and a good one, so he can tell when someone's lying. At this point, Jazz finally opens up to Adeline and tells her the whole truth. She shares how, during the early years of their marriage, Colton was a wonderful husband. He loved her, cared for her. It all seemed perfect. But 3 years in, everything changed. Colton hit her for the first time, and after that, it became a pattern. He grew more controlling, isolating her from friends and family, even forcing her to quit her job, all under the excuse of starting a family. Jazz's mother once filed an anonymous complaint against Colton that made him so furious he threatened to kill Jazz, or her mother, out of fear. Jazz never reported Colton to the police. Besides, he was the police. Even though he was suspended, he still had deep connections in the department. Jazz felt completely trapped, like she'd never escape him. That's why she ran. But now Colton had nearly found her. Hearing this, Adeline opens up too. She says her own story was similar, but she managed to get away. She's been living alone and free out here for over 20 years. She reassures Jazz that Colton won't find her, won't get to her here. But as the story continues, we see that Colton is already suspicious of Adeline. He starts digging into her background. That night, he tries to quietly break into her house. But Jazz and Adeline are ready. Jazz grabs Adeline's crossbow and points it at Colton, threatening him. Colton, in turn, begins his manipulative act. He tells Jazz he's just here to take her home, that everything can go back to how it used to be. He says Rory didn't survive the storm, and people are worried about her. He even tries to turn Jazz against Adeline. Colton claims that the woman she's staying with, Adeline, doesn't have a social security number or a birth record. According to him, she's like a ghost, maybe even dangerous. As he says all this, Colton slowly inches closer to Jazz, and Jazz, though holding the crossbow, can't bring herself to pull the trigger. Suddenly, Adeline strikes Colton from behind with a walking stick. In response, Colton turns and starts beating Adeline. Seeing this, Jazz musters up the courage and hits Colton with a stick, knocking him unconscious. Adeline quickly tells Jazz to grab a rope so they can tie him up. But while Jazz goes to get it, Adeline continues striking Colton with the stick, over and over, until she kills him. Yes, friends. Jazz is completely shocked by what just happened. Adeline tries to explain by saying Colton was getting back up, so she had to finish him off. But we, the viewers, can clearly see that wasn't true. From this point on, it's clear the two of them have just killed a man, and together they now have to dispose of Colton's body and his belongings. The next morning, Jazz is still deeply shaken by what they did the night before. But Adeline seems calm, almost unfazed, in fact. She even tries to take care of Jazz, comforting her as if nothing major had happened. Jazz tells Adeline that after what happened, she should leave. She doesn't want Adeline to be in danger or under suspicion because of her. Adeline agrees, saying that when she goes into town today to pick up supplies, she'll also talk to her friend, the one who can help Jazz cross into Canada or take her somewhere else in the US. So Adeline heads to town while the injured Jazz stays behind, doing what she can, cooking, trying to stay occupied. While looking around, Jazz notices a key inside the fishbowl. Curious, she uses the key to unlock a trunk. Inside, she finds old photographs of Adeline, but the photos are torn, deliberately, so that only Adeline is visible. Someone, probably her husband, has been ripped out of every picture. Jazz also finds something else, a cell phone. Yes, friends, Adeline did have a mobile phone, even though she'd insisted all along that they had no way to communicate with the outside world. She'd claimed the landline was dead and that there was no other way to call for help. That means Adeline had been lying. Now Jazz begins to suspect Adeline too. Meanwhile, Adeline meets Deputy Sheriff Fester in town. Fester tells her that several people are missing after the storm. Boatman Rory, his brother Anthony, and Jazz, all unaccounted for. Even her husband Colton went looking and hasn't returned. Adeline panics after hearing this. She runs out of the store and we see missing person posters all over town. When Adeline returns home, she notices water drops on the trunk. She instantly realizes Jazz must have opened it. That night, Adeline and Jazz share a few drinks together. Adeline lies and says her friend won't be able to come for another 2 weeks. And that's the only time Jazz can leave. As Adeline passes out from drinking, Jazz seizes the opportunity. She uses Adeline's fingerprint to unlock the phone. Then she starts walking around trying to find a signal, hoping to call her mother. Suddenly, Adeline wakes up, and finally, Jazz confronts her. Jazz plainly says she knows Adeline never contacted any friend to help her leave. She accuses Adeline of trying to keep her trapped here forever. She says she's leaving, and Adeline can't stop her. Adeline tries to reason with her, insisting Jazz isn't ready to go. She's still injured, and more importantly, they both committed a serious crime, killing Colton. If Jazz is found, she could get arrested, and Adeline could too. They'd both go to jail. Basically, Adeline doesn't want Jazz to leave, but Jazz is determined to get out. Just then, Deputy Fester shows up at Adeline's house. Adeline quickly tells Jazz to hide. She chats with Fester briefly and then sees him off. Afterward, Jazz makes it clear she's leaving tomorrow. The next day, Jazz says an emotional goodbye to Adeline. She promises never to mention her name to anyone. Then she starts to leave, but suddenly, Adeline attacks Jazz's injured leg. In the next scene, Jazz wakes up to find herself tied to a bed. Adeline is there, calmly explaining that she had broken one of Jazz's legs so Jazz wouldn't be able to escape. In fact, Adeline had even placed a cast on the leg and was keeping Jazz restrained by tying that same leg down. The reason Adeline gives is that Jazz isn't ready to face the outside world yet. She says that if word gets out about what they've done together, both of them will be in serious trouble. Adeline, who has built a life for herself over the past 20 years, this home, this peaceful existence, would lose everything. But by now, Jazz has realized that Adeline isn't mentally stable. She's been living alone for over 2 decades. And now that she finally has someone with her, Jazz, she's desperate to keep her from leaving. Adeline even reveals that years ago, her husband, an old man, had abused her, and she killed him in self-defense. But the people in her town didn't believe her. Fearing prison, Adeline ran away and settled here to start a new life, far from anyone who knew her. That's why there are no records of her existence. And here's the chilling part. Adeline also refers to what happened with Colton as self-defense. But we, as the audience, know the truth. Colton was already unconscious when Adeline violently finished him off. Now Jazz is completely trapped. At one point, she's allowed outside briefly for some fresh air. That's when she decides to fight back. She grabs a broken plate, planning to attack Adeline with its sharp edge. But Jazz can't go through with it. However, Adeline notices that Jazz is holding something sharp. She immediately grabs Jazz, drags her like an animal, and locks her inside the garage. While locked in, Jazz finds an old photo of Adeline's husband. Using the glass from the photo frame, she manages to pick the lock on the wooden garage door and escapes. Then she locks the garage from the outside, making it look like she's still inside, and goes into hiding. Later that evening, when Adeline returns, Jazz ambushes her from behind and locks her in the garage. Then she runs to Adeline's trunk, pulls out a flare gun, and fires it into the sky, hoping someone will see it and come help. But before help can arrive, Adeline manages to escape from the garage and attacks Jazz once again, taking her captive a while later. Deputy Fester shows up at the house. Adeline quickly lies, telling him she didn't fire any flare gun. Meanwhile, Jazz is still inside and manages to pull a rope that knocks over the fishbowl. Hearing the sound, Deputy Fester comes inside the house to check. But suddenly, Adeline attacks him with a crossbow. Yes, friends. Adeline was so desperate to keep Jazz with her that she even tried to eliminate Deputy Fester. In the chaos that follows, Jazz jumps in. A violent scuffle breaks out between the two women. During the struggle, Adeline falls against her own boat, fatally injuring herself in the process. In the final scene of the film, we see Jazz surrounded by police officers. She calls her mom and says, "I'm coming back home." And in her hand, we see the goldfish. Hector, the fishbowl is shattered, but the fish is now safe inside a plastic water bag. That's where the film ends.